During President Ibrahim Traoré's historic visit to Russia, something unexpected happened, something the mainstream media barely noticed. In the middle of a grand ceremony, one elite Russian soldier refused to salute Traoré. What followed involving Putin himself left the entire world in disbelief. Stay with us, because this is the story they never showed you. And what happened at the end will leave you speechless. This is how it all unfolded. It's May 9th, 2025 in Moscow, the 80th anniversary of the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany. Against this backdrop of national pride, heads of state from 27 countries gather in Red Square. Among them is President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, the 37-year-old coup leader turned charismatic head of state. He arrived as one of only a handful of African presidents invited, defying Western pressure. Even major European powers stayed home. Western leaders largely boycotted the ceremonies. Years before, Traoré and Putin had already met at a Russia-Africa summit in St. Petersburg. The photo above, from July 2023, shows them shaking hands, a symbol of Burkina's turn away from former colonial master France and closer ties with Russia. In this tense climate, Traoré is treated with special honor. Kremlin media broadcast his every move to a Russian audience. Social media lights up. African news sites note that Traoré is widely discussed and even compared to Burkina's revolutionary hero Sankara. Commentators see the visit as more than ceremony. It underlines Burkina's new alliances. Traoré himself has praised Russia as a partner. In Moscow, he tells crowds, despite all the sanctions, Russia remains at the forefront of the international stage. He speaks of buying Russian equipment and learning Russian technical know-how. Russia, he says, is a strategic ally, a complete shift from the era of French support. Traoré's arrival and the viral moment. The next morning, May 10th, a new chapter unfolds. Late spring sunshine glints off the Kremlin spires. At Domodedovo Airport, Traoré steps off a Russian Air Force plane. He wears the army fatigues and red beret that made him recognizable back home. Honor guards and officials line up to salute as Burkina's rising young leader approaches. Video cameras are rolling. Every Russian guard stands stiff at attention, except one. Suddenly, a young Russian soldier, a member of the elite presidential regiment, freezes. Instead of snapping his rifle to salute, he lowers his gaze and remains motionless. For a heartbeat, the music stops. Cameras whir. His name is Sergei Petrov, a thin, tense figure in a crisp uniform. His eyes flick up, then reluctantly back down. The ceremony falters, an unthinkable breach of protocol. All around, faces register shock. On either side of Traoré, the atmosphere shifts. His Burkina bodyguards, trained RSP commandos, tense reflexively, fingers brushing the butt of their sidearms. But Traoré himself remains outwardly calm. He straightens his shoulders and slowly continues forward, eyes fixed ahead. This is not the time to lose my cool, he thinks. In front of Putin, I must show strength, not anger. Around him, Russian officers confer urgently. The chief of protocol whispers into an earpiece. Journalists note the moment on their phones, already an unusual sign. Other foreign delegations watch quietly. The American and French press are here too. They exchange puzzled glances. Suddenly, President Putin notices. The 72-year-old Russian leader turns toward the commotion at the airport tarmac. Face impassive, he gives a single, firm order to the officer beside him. Putin, calm but stern. Stop the parade. Attention. The band music cuts off. Dozens of soldiers halt mid-step. The eyes of every camera and soldier in the vicinity turn to Vladimir Putin. Even the usually stone-faced Putin looks momentarily puzzled. He steps briskly toward the awkward scene. A hush falls as the president and the visiting head of state meet face to face. Putin, quietly, to Petrov. "Why have you not saluted the president of Burkina Faso?" The young guard gives a nervous step back. "Officer, Comrade President, he says he was momentarily confused, sir." Petrov, "Sir, he is of African descent, sir. I thought. I had orders." Putin's eyes narrow. For a tense second, no one breathes. Then Putin does the unexpected. Turning back to Traoré, he offers a broad hand on the Burkina leader's arm. "Putin, President Traoré, please accept my apologies. Our comrade here did not follow protocol, but he is young and inexperienced." He smiles. The tension breaks slightly. Cameras catch the slight bowing of the Russian officer as he steps back. Putin continues to Traoré. Putin, smiling at Traoré. "You have traveled far for this ceremony. Russia is honored by your visit." He steps closer to Traoré. Journalists are stunned as Putin lifts Traoré's right hand and places his own forehead lightly upon it, an old Slavic gesture of deep respect. Unscripted and intimate, reverberates through the crowd. A beat of silence, and then murmurs of surprise, quickly swallowed by applause. Putin, loudly, to all. "Gentlemen, let us remember our common cause. As I told President Traoré, we are united by the common goal of fighting terrorism and extremism. We stand together." The gathered officers snap fresh salutes. This time, Petrov, face pale, follows suit. Traoré returns the salute with grave dignity. Putin gives one final smile. In that moment, cameras captured more than a ceremony. They captured a statement. Back on the tarmac, Putin then bows politely to Traoré and leans in to speak quietly. Though microphones are distant, everyone understands. Putin promises to continue support to fight jihadists and praises the young African leader's role in it. In the days that follow, world media replay the footage. Putin bending his knee before an African head of state, a scene unheard of during Cold War triumphs. Russian anchors call it a gesture of mutual respect. In Moscow's official highlights, Traoré's visit soars in views. An onlooker quips, "Even on Russian TV, they call Traoré the new Sankara." Traoré told Putin, "The terrorism we are witnessing today comes from imperialism," and Putin agreed they share the common goal of fighting terrorism. Their words from May 10th ring with new meaning after this salute. Global reactions. African youth movements within hours. Videos of the airport scene flood African social media. Young activists tweet hashtags like #Salute for Africa and #Traoré. Many praise Traoré's composure. Blogs compare his silent dignity to Burkina's icon, Thomas Sankara. One popular Pan-African forum exclaims, "Finally, Africa's leaders are getting respect on the world stage." Russia and allies. Russian state media spin the moment as a triumph of Putin's diplomacy. Commentators on Russia Today replay Putin's gesture, hailing an African president who spoke truth to power. Even in Beijing, social accounts highlight the footage, noting the new African-Russian friendship. Western press. Coverage is mixed. Some Western outlets portray the refusal as a rare racist snub thwarted by Putin's intervention. A Paris newspaper headlines, "From Burkina Faso to the Kremlin, a lesson in respect." yet official statements are subdued. The French government issues only a terse release about the anniversary parade, notably silent on Traoré's reception. Recall, France had strong ties. Traoré himself once explained in 2023, "The departure of the French army does not mean France is not an ally, but we have strategic allies too." Russia, for example, is a strategic ally. Today, French diplomats have little to add on the dramatic salute. International analysts. Experts note the symbolism. Washington and Brussels had warned about attending the parade at all, yet Traoré's visit and this incident underscore the rising voice of the global South. The Defense Post observes that under Traoré, Burkina turned away from the former colonial master France and moved closer to Russia. The Burkina leader's steadiness at the Kremlin only cements that strategic pivot. Reflection. The ceremony moves on as if nothing happened. Garlands are laid at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Victory Day speeches resume. But the image of that refused salute and Putin's unexpected intercession lingers. What did we witness? A young African leader, calm amid confrontation. A foreign soldier caught in history's crosswinds. And a Russian president willing, in that instant, to transcend protocol. Across the continents, people whisper questions. Does this signal a new respect for African sovereignty? Is the age-old power dynamic shifting just a bit? One African commentator asks softly, "When an old empire bows to a young general, whose future are we saluting?" In the silence that followed on Moscow's tarmac, the world held its breath. Only time will tell how this salute is remembered. But one thing is clear. After today, nothing about Africa's rising voice will seem quite the same. Why did one salute refuse to honor him? And what new world does that broken salute foreshadow?